All right, so welcome to week 3. We are going to be doing 1 point perspective exteriors with value this week. So I'm going to revisit a couple drawings that I did last week just in contour. Um, but I want you to start brand new drawings. So hopefully you understand that just because I'm showing examples of adding value to last week's work, I do want you to, in fact, start brand new drawings from the beginning and then add value to them. All right, so going back to this diner, I'm going to do this one all in markers. So I've got 5 different shades of gray. I have a 90, a 70, a 50, a 30, and a 10. And I just go and I compare it to the photograph. I took the photograph and I removed all of the color, so I desaturated the photograph so I could see the value a little bit better. And just going in and laying in gray tones a little bit lighter than they need to be, because I can come back and I can darken it. But with marker, uh, I can't really take value away. So just kind of building up those shades. And I'm kind of loose. I'm uh, kind of keeping the flow going. I'm also drawing my lines either horizontal or converging back to the vanishing point to maintain that kind of distance and illusion of depth. So you can see here, I'm even going in, darkening the sky, show where the clouds are. That one's a little light, but it's a good, first example in ink. And then I'm going to revisit the drawing of the movie set. So this photo, I again removed all the color. It's going to be a lot easier for you if you can just see the values in black and white. And in this one, I'm using graphite. I'm going to start from the back and work forward. And I also kind of tend to do the left-hand side first and move over to the right. And that's just so that my hand is not running along as much as it's trying to keep the drawing from smudging, because graphite will smudge. So I tend to try to work from the top and the left over to the right and the bottom. Um, so as you can see here, just darkening in, really pushing that value, trying to get things dark, and also kind of revisiting my lines and details. When you do value, adding value to a simple contour drawing, you're able to kind of clean up the details, clean up the lines, and make sure they are where they are. So you notice how adding shadows, adding that depth to where the facades of the building kind of indent and go in. And also just kind of adding some shadow to the windows, giving them some contrast. And I'm not going to worry too much about detail on this one, just kind of lay in some of the props. Um, Using this woodless pencil, laying it on its side and going really fast can cover a lot area really quick. And then last, I'm going to add this tree. Don't try to add trees or branches and detail. Always save your detail for the end. All right, and this is a good example of just a nice quick sketch. So now I'm going to show you a drawing that's really dark. You're going to have a lot of dark value. And so go in and I'm going to lay out my drawing with pencil. Um, and again, notice how everything comes back. All lines merge back, converge back to that vanishing point. And once I've got my lines drawn, I'm going to go in really dark, get that night sky in there, and lay in some details. And for this drawing, I'm going to come back at the end and add colored pencil, so I can clean up, I can lighten up later things that need to be lighter. Um, and just going in, kind of filling in the negative space. So the negative space is all that black area that's around objects. It's the sky. It's the area in between. Um, and so just building that value, and you notice my lines for the street, I'm making them converge. So even with my shading, I'm using a ruler, and so either going vertical with my lines or having them converge back to the vanishing point. And just building up that value on top of each other. And I start light and try to just build it up um, as much as I can before I come back in with the colored pencils. And get that grate in there, and showing some lines, horizontal lines to represent the bricks. And I'll come back and add the converging lines to the bricks later. But the tricky part about this is trying to show this contrast of the bright lights and the dark night. So, but when you really push your value, when you have black and white and all these grays in between, you're going to get this contrast that is really going to bring your drawings to life. So here I am going back with colored pencil, adding details and kind of cleaning things up. And I can take a white pencil and go over top of the black ink and pull out light areas. And just kind of adding final details, and then here's the drawing final. I probably could have gotten even darker, but I didn't want to really get too dark. Alright, so the last one I'm going to do is a scene in Paris with one of Space Invaders' Mario street art pieces, tile pieces. Alright, so my vanishing point is right there, kind of in the middle of the doorway, near the top of the doorway. And all of my lines, even though they're hidden, everything in the background's hidden, but also the facade that's in the foreground, all of that leads back to the vanishing point. And so this one I'm going to be really kind of careful. I really want to make this nice, so I'm going to build that value lightly. This all is with graphite. I'm actually building all the value here with mechanical pencil because it's kind of a lighter scene. And again, all of my shading is done in the directions of either the converging lines, horizontal lines, or vertical lines. And then I'm going to come in here and lay in the tile piece. There's 16 by 16, so I drew a square, and then I drew all the little tiles individually. But you notice that there's a shift in value. There's a white, there's a mid-tone, there's a black, and there you have it. And then we're going to be moving on to two-point perspective. So one of your homework assignments this week is to do 20 cubes and 10 cylinders in two-point perspective. So I drew a horizon line and then vanishing points on opposite ends of that horizon line, right at the edge of the paper. And I start with vertical lines as the corner of these cubes, and then all of my other lines are converging either left or to the right to the vanishing points. There are no horizontal lines in this project here. So all of the lines will come back to either of the two vanishing points. And you will be starting out with a single vertical line. You will not be starting with a square. And I'm closing off all of the cubes by running each corner back to the adjacent or the opposite vanishing point. And once I've got my cubes in, I can come in and add cylinders, and then for this one I'm also going to want you to add value. So for here I've got the light source coming from the front and the upper left, right? So my left side is going to be lightest. The bottom sides are going to be the darkest. The right sides are going to be like a mid dark. And I'm going to have gradients on my um, cylinders to kind of show that the bottoms are dark, but as it comes closer around to the top, it gets lighter and lighter because that light is hitting it from above. Um, and what I'm going to want you to think about is having a single light source. Further away it gets more to the side, um, it will get darker and darker. So there's also a gradient being built um, the further and further away it gets from the light source. And there you have it. That's what I'm looking for. 20 cubes, 10 cylinders, and then here's some examples that I found, either student work, but also examples I found online, showing how to do 2-point perspective cubes. And notice how all these lines are running back to the two vanishing points. So your vanishing point will not be in the middle. Now it's on opposite ends. And this is more natural, what we tend to see, but it allows you to see things from all angles rather than just looking straight on. Because looking straight on is actually very rare. We're more often, looking at a corner or even just a slight angle. And so you notice that the closer it gets to the vanishing points, the sharper those angles are going to be, and um, the angles that are further away are going to be a little more shallow. And so I want you to think about where your light source is as well, and fill it in. That's why it's if you need to do practice on the 1-point perspective cubes and adding value before you do this one. Um, but yeah, so make sure also that you're starting with a vertical line and running those corners back to the vanishing points. And then your opposite corners are going to run to the opposite vanishing points. And so you can do some solid ones, but also for the cylinders, I would make sure to do hollow like these, so that you can kind of see the inside dimensions. Those inside dimensions are also going to cross back to the vanishing points. And that's how you'll know if it's correct, is if when they cross, you can get a nice vertical line that runs from the top to the bottom of the back.